To take questions as long as we have the place. How do you want to do questions?
Of course, I think that we'll just pass around the mic. Does that work?
Yeah, I can just shout.
So whoever,
I just wanted to know where to get the
Doc, you just go to Dawkins Foundation.
Dawkins?
He actually has the tie holder, which is larger than his actual lapel, which is smaller, which I have. They're both fabulous.
I have them though.
I have both. So
You just Google that, you can buy one.
if you're fine with shouting, you can just shout out that question.
Yeah. I'll let you do that and I'll repeat the question for everybody. Go ahead.
Is anybody running this as a class action?
Has anybody ever thought of running what as a class
Just
action?
actually constitutional knowledge.
It's been talked about, but to my knowledge, it hasn't been done as a constitution or as a class action. There is one that we're seriously considering doing it for. Actually, I can't tell you where. Maybe later. You'll keep an eye on it for our. If we decide to do it, you'll see it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I've got a question about the insidious atheist that you're talking about that for a lot of people who argue that, well, if nothing's going to make these atheists happy unless there's no public reference to religion, which would then be a violation on our freedom of religion. What's your response to that, saying that no municipal or public expression allowed?
Well, look, when you're let's just take the municipal expression that you're talking about. So let's take the example of a police chief. When you're a police chief, that is not a personal position that you occupy. It's a government position. You have a government title, you have a government salary. When you are acting as the police chief, you're not acting as Joe Schmo, you're acting as police chief of X. Okay? So you don't get to bring your personal religion into that because we have the First Amendment. You can, of course, worship however you want on your own time. You can go to church as often as you want. You can host Bible studies. You can do whatever you want on your own time. You don't get to use your government office to promote your religion in any way. And that includes getting up and saying, "Hi, I'm the police chief of Birmingham, Alabama. I've been dealing with this guy right now. And everybody, you need to pray to Jesus. Or let's all pray to Jesus." You don't even have to tell them to do it. Just saying, "I'm the police chief and let's all pray together." That is enough of a violation. So I think it's drawing those clear lines, and I think there is a clear line that can be drawn. It's not easy in every case, but it can be drawn, and it's important that we draw it and ask people to adhere to it. And it's not public mentions of religion. I don't have a problem with public mention of religion. I have a problem with the government endorsing religion. I have a problem with the government favoring one religion over another, or religion over non-religion. That's where the problem lies, and there is a little bit of a wiggle, and the religious right always likes to say that we're trying to eliminate all religion from the public sphere, which is not true. Religion can be in the public sphere, just the government can't be the one promoting it in the public sphere. If people want to go have a worship service in a public park, and they have a permit for it, and they're adhering to all the same rules as everybody else, fine. So, does that answer your question?
So like the memorial crosses on the side of the road,
Yeah.
for example, put up by private citizens on public property.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, across on public property, that has never withstood a court challenge in a court of last resort. Every single cross on government property has been declared unconstitutional by a court of last resort. So, I mean, yeah, that's an easy question, and the courts all agree with that. So, I think that's very clearly a violation. Let's go up here.
In accordance with drawing that line, where would you suggest that legislators draw the line in terms of drafting new legislation and signing it into law?
I'd say keep religion out of it. Don't favor religion in any way. You have something more specific you're thinking of?
I mean specifically in terms of whether or not a legislator's personal beliefs may or may not influence them to vote one way or another on a bill that does not explicitly refer to religion, but may reinforce it as an ancillary purpose.
I see what you're saying there. Yeah, and that can get difficult. Digging into the reasons that an individual legislature is voting for or against the law can get very difficult. And that's one of the problems actually with the lemon test that I showed earlier is, a law has to have a secular purpose, but how can you define a purpose behind a law when 100 or 200 or 500 legislatures are all voting on it and they're all arguing So that can be very, very difficult. But if the government is using religion and religious beliefs to dictate public policy, they are certainly over the line. The Bowers versus Hardwick decision, which criminalized sodomy, which basically outlawed being gay. It was 1983, maybe, not probably, maybe 1987, Bowers versus Hardwick. In that case, they founded part of that decision in the fact that Judeo-Christian ethics and moral standards had condemned homosexuality for millennia. And the dissent took them to task for that, as did the case that overturned that, Morris versus Texas. So using your personal religion as a government official to create policy is, I think, pretty clearly unconstitutional. Let's go in the back. Yeah.
Could you clarify a little bit on this thing I've seen before, only ever in the context of India's fashion, it shows, I guess, this thing that looks like a cross on a memorial for 9/11, and it's a meme.
Oh, the 9/11 Memorial Cross?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's the situation there?
Yeah, that was just argued before the Second Circuit. That's a case that American atheists brought. Essentially, in the rubble of the towers after 9/11, they found steel girders in the shape of a cross, and they thought that to be miraculous, which is bizarre because there's like, all it is cross sections the whole way up. But yeah, that case is all the way, and to be honest, I didn't get a chance to read the briefs at the appellate level, so I'm not really sure where it's going. But if I remember correctly, it was booted out on standing at the lower court level, which basically means the court said you don't have enough of an injury to bring this. And I think the court may have even gone further and said that if you do have an injury, it's not a violation. But don't quote me on that, please. Yeah, but there should be a decision coming out of that in the next probably 2 or 3 months. I think that's maybe 4 or 5.
I know you don't have weight.
American Atheists, I think it's important. If you go to the American Atheists website, they have it right up there.
I know you don't have weight for religious, but what about the Supreme Court case?
I'm not gonna make a prediction on that.
What's going to happen if, for example,
If they rule what I would consider the wrong way. All right, this is what I will say. In 1872, the court decided Reynolds versus U.S., which was the Mormon polygamy case. And the court said, in that case, they asked the question, can your personal religious beliefs trump the law? And they said, clearly not. To do so would to make each person a law unto themselves, and government can exist only in name under such circumstances. And this case is basically the complete opposite of that if they're going to decide in a Hobby Lobby way. They're going to allow people's beliefs to trump the law, and it's going to be a law, everybody's going to be a law unto themselves, which if they do that, I will say, I think they're going to really regret it. I think they're really going to regret it if they do that. There's going to be a flood of litigation that's going to bog the courts down for many, many years to come until something gets changed. So even if it does come down the wrong way, I wouldn't be worried about it as a long-term problem, but I'll probably get stuck with it for 10 or 15 years. So.
What's the latest on the cross on Mount Soledad in San Diego? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The last I heard, the appeals court had kind of like the Supreme Court refused to hear it. And
Yeah, that's actually, that cross is brought by Steve Trunk. Steve Trunk is a lifetime member of FFRF. We watched that case very, very closely. Every single level we won. It's just a question of getting the court to finally exhaust all their remedies. It's really, really close to being done, and I'm almost certain it's going to come down. I'm not very worried about that decision at all. They really are fighting tooth and nail against them. Yeah. It's been a long. Yeah. I mean, Steve's pretty amazing for going at it that long. It's really, really amazing on his part. So we're very proud of him. I saw somebody back there. Yeah, go ahead.
There are two subjects, that it's religious belief based and
when it argues the religious part of it, and it's abortion and climate change. Why don't we argue for freedom of religion from our part against the Christian and Judeo belief system that life begins at conception? I believe it starts when a baby can live outside the mother's womb. I don't believe it starts at conception. And climate change is from the Bible because God promised after the flood he would never do anything like that to the world.
Well, yeah, you're actually quoting Representative Shimkus right there. So in 2010, Illinois' representative, I think he headed, well, he was